Okay, everyone, welcome to an episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff to have a really cool review for you guys from a brand new company, Earthen Co. or Earthen Company. And they're a newer microbrand founded by not watchmakers, but watch collectors and designers first, with the goal of taking everything they love about vintage watches and infusing it with modern materials like ceramic that you're seeing here in this beautiful satin case. While of course keeping it at an accessible price point. In terms of the type of watch, I consider this within that everyday adventure watch space. Of course, it does bleed into other categories as well, thanks to that very familiar yet I'd say fresh design aesthetic. This is, again, an everyday adventure watch. So you, in terms of something that you would want to take on your everyday adventure, of course, you're going to find something that is sporty, legible, and tough. This is from their Summit series, and this is the Overcast Mark II. And it is encased in that satin black ceramic case. And they say that the silhouette echoes the rugged utility of classic field watches, which I agree with. And of course, it's built for resilience and precision. The dial is a nod to Overcast Alpine skies, where you're going to carry over that lower visibility aesthetic. Muted yet purposeful, with a vintage style lume guiding the way like a beacon in the storm. I think it's just really strong color play here. I think those warm hints do help a lot, and I like that it's not all completely the vintage lume. It is, it has white lume. It's a mixture. We've seen this with much more expensive watches and also some cheaper ones as well. But I think, again, that the color play here, it's not necessarily trying to look vintage. Again, I think it's just a little bit about the colorway mix here and keeping your eyes trained on there for contrast, which is great. So this goes for $8.99 direct, and the sample was kindly provided by the brand for the purpose of this video review. I hadn't heard about them before, but I did see a review and I immediately reached out, and they didn't reach out to me. I reached out to them, asked if I could check out a unit, and here we are. So yeah, with that said, let's go ahead and zoom the camera out, get this piece in hand, and take a closer look. Okay, quite handsome, as you can see here. I think everything goes together very, very well. Of course, their kind of ski mountainous theme, it works, but also with this particular colorway and styling, I think it also works within that. Again, it does reflect those lines of a classic field watch. Except now you have this case that is scratch proof, unless you run into a couple diamonds wear out there. But look at the finishing on here. So, I mean, I don't want to undersell this finish here, guys. Yes, there are cheaper ceramic watches, but they are not like this. Typically, they're just going to be a glossy ceramic. Look at the satin brushing, and then it even has high polished bevels down the lugs. That is wild. And the level of this hairline brush is gorgeous. So whoever manufactured this for them did an outstanding job, and I'm sure it wasn't cheap by any means. So very, very nice. Again, I just have to stress, this really surprised me here in hand, because I would want to say in the metal because it's ceramic, but yeah, this thing, the quality, the level of precision on this very nice case is very impressive. Now, in terms of this case, it is 38 millimeters in diameter, great size there. And then lug to lug, it's going to be 44.9, so just under 45 millimeters. And then the height is actually just 10 millimeters, and that's including the crystal. Without the crystal, it's like 8.8. So this is a very, very thin and slim watch, and then you combine that with the ceramic case, and it makes for a very comfortable wear. Now, in terms of the crystal, it is a box sapphire, as you guys can see there. Very nice. Even if you get it at harsh angle there, you're only going to get distortion towards those outer reaches. You're not going to get any type of milky ring, which is nice as well in terms of the execution. Inside, although you cannot see it, it has a Miyota 9039 movement, which is a no date, so there's no ghost position on this beautiful screw down crown, which isn't signed, but it is, I'd say, decorated, right? They didn't just stick on any old catalog crown. It has a nice little visual accent at both angles there, and of course is nice to interact with. Wow, the sizing here is very nice, and the tactile engagement with this is very good as well, and the action quite nice. And check out that crown stem, nice and robust. So with this Miyota movement, you're going to get a 42-hour power reserve, and it's going to beat at 4 Hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour in terms of the beat rate. The dial is matte black, and then you do have this nice printed dial with some very thickly applied. You can see there, especially at those cardinal reference points at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 there, they just get a bit of a bolder applique, which is nice. Now, in terms of the hands, you're going to get polished hour and minute hand, and then you're going to get a painted seconds hand. You're going to get also two-tone lume. It's not just two-tone in the light, it's actually two-tone in the dark as well, which we'll eventually get to. The low light transition, I think, for a watch that's a bit of a field watch type of aesthetic, it completely works. Now, thanks to that screw down crown there, where you're going to make sure that that crown is pushed in, the nice thing is you're going to have a very confidence inspiring 100 meters or 10 atmospheres of water resistance. Also, you're going to have a 20 millimeter lug width, which is very, very universal. And you're going to get this beautiful two-piece hybrid quick release spring bar equipped strap. And it is very nice. Look at the fully milled hardware here. Beautifully satinized, nicely signed, a bit reminiscent of IWC style buckles there. So very, very cool. But since this is a new brand, one thing I always like to bring in is, because with a new brand, you don't necessarily know what the packaging is like. What's the standard here in terms of the experience? So let's just take a quick look. So you pop that open. Oh, look at that. Comes with an extra strap. So very cool that it comes with each one here. And of course, I think this actually looks really great. I actually prefer it on this strap, but I think, of course, on my skin tone, the green is kind of a better contrast. So we'll keep it there. Then you get this here, very cool, goes over some of their specs and everything. The watch is here, and it actually comes with a very nice, very soft and plush feeling roll. So let's take a look here. Very cool. You got extra space, and then you can put a watch in each side here. You'd probably want to stagger them, right? So you have like one here with the head down there, and then on the opposite side, you'd want to go the opposite way, so you don't go face to face. Wow, that's actually very cool and quite different. So yeah, I'd like that. So very nice. Again, within this package, right? It's not cheap at $8.99, but when you think about the fact that it comes with two very nice hybrid straps, that also you're going to be getting this very nice watch roll, and then overall a really nice experience. And then and if you don't care about any of that, that's fine too, because the finishing on this ceramic case is really outstanding. So we'll get that off camera here. We'll go ahead, take this, put it on the wrist, and see how it wears. Okay, as you guys can see on my 7.5-inch wrist, or 19 centimeter in circumference, it wears quite beautifully. Of course, if I get my wrist a bit too close to the camera lens, all of a sudden you're going to notice the sides of my wrist begin to fall away. The watch head seems much larger, and that's because you're getting a fair amount of perspective distortion. So what I'll do is keep my wrist nice and low, and then I will just tighten up the frame here so that you guys can get still a detailed look, but just add a bit of a truer aspect ratio as to how this may lay on your own wrist. And check that out, quite handsome. Look at how thin that is. beautifully thin there. I mean, you could sell this watch just based on the thinness, but then the fact that you are actually getting a very precision built, finely crafted ceramic case there. It's just, and then, I mean, look at the crown even. That thing's got some details to it. I like that they didn't just settle for etching in some initials or something arbitrary if it didn't really lend to the aesthetic, but they still decided to, again, create a crown that was quite handsome. I think that, you know, that black stripe there does help aesthetically. It does tie the you know, the black case to the crown there, and then it does leave room for future accent aesthetics, right? If they do other releases, you could see them putting other colors into that little channel, which I think is very, very cool. Ooh, look at how again, just the thinness here. I love the sculpt on this. It just sits very low and rides beautifully on the wrist, and then you have those beautiful high polished bevels, which again, I know that they're more common these days on steel watches at least, but on a ceramic watch, just to have that contrasting against this beautiful, you know, hairline satin brush, I think is again quite impressive. So with that said, let's go ahead, get it off the wrist, set up for some Lume shots, low light transition, and closing thoughts. Okay, let's go ahead and hit the lights here. Alrighty, now this is a printed dial. And this is pretty nice Lume considering. No, it's not some crazy diver level, but I will say again, you get the dual tone, which is nice because you get that, of course, in daylight, but you also get it here in the dark. You're getting that nice mixture of both blue and green, and I think it looks fantastic. And, you know, it's nice, especially when you think about, I mean, for me, I did almost 10 years in the Marine Corps. Something like this would be perfect for an everyday watch because it has that field aesthetic, but it's also tough, which I can appreciate. So with that said, also, hey, it's never going to run out of batteries. But one thing I like to work in is going to be, of course, a level of low light transition, because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you're going to find yourself coming in and out of buildings, walking underneath overhangs, or just hanging out underneath the shade of a tree. So it's nice to see what these colors, textures, and finishes render like in less than optimal lighting. And of course, a lot of the times with a black coated watch, right, you're going to lose a lot of those details. In this case, because the material is black and it's not, you know, some matte coating on top, the nice thing is you're really going to see the finishes shine through. You're going to see that higher grade of execution there on that beautifully thin mid case. And overall, I mean, the whole silhouette is quite thin, even when you consider that box dome sapphire. So very, very nice. Look at that. Whew. I think, of course, maybe it would have been a nice touch to add a little bit of Lume on that seconds hand. It doesn't necessarily even need to be at the tip, but just so you know that it's running. I mean, of course, it's not, you don't can use this as a dive watch or anything, but with that screw down crown, you can definitely submerge it. I think it might be a nice touch, actually, because of the shapes there, if they would have made that reverse lollipop loomed. So it would have been like an O there. So, and I think that'd be cool. But I think as is, it's also pretty outstanding. That's just, I mean, that's when you know you're nitpicking, right? When you're like, oh, we could add this cool Lume feature, you know, because otherwise everything else is pretty perfect. I mean, yeah, we really want to nitpick. It'd be really cool if they came out with a ceramic bracelet for this thing. I know would drive up costs, but my gosh, just the level of fit and finish on this case, it makes me wonder what a bracelet could be like. But of course, some people would say this should never be on a bracelet. This is like its whole thing that makes it cool is that it's this ceramic tough thing that you can just strap onto your wrist. So okay, I'll take that, right? You don't want the clickety clank, and then of course you're gonna have, you know, better shock protection when you're keeping the ceramic limited to a small footprint. But man, great looking watch. But we'll go ahead and get the lights on here, get into some closing thoughts, guys. On the wrist, classic compact wear, lightweight case disappears on wrist. The thin profile is super comfortable. I cannot stress that enough. This is a comfortable watch. In terms of model variants, do check the site links for current options and availability. I think currently there are 2 other colorways that are, again, it's all very polarizing. There's like a Stormtrooper whiteout one, and then there's one with some kind of sky blue accents, which also looks very cool. This is definitely the most masculine looking one that felt the most versatile, while the others may be a little niche for some people's tastes. So in terms of comparable models, from mainstream to microbrands, the Everyday Adventure or Go Anywhere, Do Anything GADA wristwatch space has been all of the rage lately, and it's even, I think, closed the gap on dive watches as the default sports watch for many collectors. And at under $1,000, when you consider the high quality ceramic case and overall package, you get these 2 great straps. I mean, guys, if you're a fan of the channel, you know how expensive some of these premium straps have become on the market. So to get something like that included, again, very special here. I mean, it's actually quite competitive in terms of value proposition. Some people are going to be able to see that because they've shopped ceramics before, and some people are not going to be able to see that because they don't really care if it's ceramic or not, and they're just, okay, well, there's these fashion watches that, again, the case finishing on and the execution on those watches is nowhere near comparable to this. This is going to be definitely much closer when you compare it to things that are going to be executed in that kind of above mid-tier to entry-level luxury level in terms of that fit and finish, guys. Very impressive. So for me, guys, bottom line, while I'm not one to seek out ceramic case watches, I am really glad that I stumbled onto this brand. The Earthen Co Summit feels super premium in person, and I'm honestly impressed by this even more, when I get it in hand. And, the fact that the overall fit and finish, the level of execution for this young brand, again, it impresses me. It caught my attention even more. I think design-wise, it looks great, and I think they could have easily got away with putting this in a steel case executed like this and probably charged the same amount, and I think it still would have been fine. But instead, they kind of, they upped the ante, and I think it paid off. It's just really good. I think they could really position this even more up market and do like a Swiss-powered Joux-Perret LJP-G100 movement in here with an extended 68-hour power reserve, have it regulated to like plus or minus 5 seconds per day, and charge like $1,500 for that all day. And I think it would be a huge value. So yeah, I would love to see something like that in the future. I'd love to see when a watch really just overperforms in certain areas, and it's like, oh, like this thing's nice enough to where you could put a more expensive movement in there and people would probably still be willing to pay, just because you're getting this amazing deal because of the fit and finish of the case, because of the design here, the execution. It is, again, very impressive. So with all that said, let me know what you all think down in the comments below. If you like the video, please hit like, and if you already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.